Welcome, Solo Women RVers. So I'm actually new to these solo groups. There's lots of folks I have not met yet. I'm Brenda. I am a sociologist, a financial coach, and I do full-time RV. I left my house in Virginia in May 2020. Great timing, right? And I've been on the road ever since. I tend to stay in state and national park campgrounds. That's my style. So let's go ahead and meet your panel. So we have Rachel King, Serenity, and Lana Carleen. So why don't we start at the end with Rachel? Give us a little introduction. Don't tell us who's the driver.
Oh, that's hard. It's hard to do the intro.
Hello. The youngins know how to work the microphones, huh? My name is Rachel King. I'm 42 years old. I am ex-military. That's how I'm out here on the road. I am a disabled vet, PTSD. I used to be an air traffic controller. Yeah, did that for. I'm done with that now. And now, as part of my recovery, I went through a few rough years, ladies alone, and I'm an alcoholic. I can never drink again. So for me, I lost everything. My job, my six-figure job, my Audi, I lost all of it. I had like a really rough life there for a minute. And I sought treatment though. I made it through. I sought treatment. I had support. I sat in a sober facility throwing a tantrum for 9 months thinking I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I'm getting up every day. And the idea of buying an RV is how I took my life back. I bought an RV to get out of there. I'm a homeowner again. Just learning how to work a grill. All the simple, I didn't know what a propane system was. I didn't know an electric system. I didn't have any mechanical skills. I was one of those people that there's men tripping over themselves to help me, or I had money to pay for it, right? So I'm really grateful that I found this lifestyle, because what I drive today, I wouldn't trade for 2 homes, an Audi, and a six-figure salary, not one day. So
It's Rachel. It's Lana.
hello.
Yeah, I'm Lana Carleen. I started full-timing from the Seattle area about 5 years ago, and I work full-time remote as a software designer for a company in Seattle. And let's see, what else? I mostly spend my summers up on the Washington coast, and I make my way south in the spring, or the summer, to come down here to Arizona and just travel around. Thanks, Lana. Hi, I'm Serenity. I'm a neurodivergent person of Cape Verdean descent who grew up on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I moved to Arizona in 2004 to run away from cold and snow. And I've been full-time on the road after selling my house in June since October. So I'm relatively new at this. I think being on the road is me living my best life, and I support diversity, inclusion, equity, and love. So I'm excited to explore anything related to fiber arts, meditation, open fire, vegetarian cooking, and any suggestions of favorite places that you have on the road that have any of those things. I would love the information. Thank you. Okay, well, thanks, panelists, for being here, putting yourself out here. So we're going to start with a little bit. Okay, I want to introduce you to some rakes. This is a lovely 2018 Grand Design Solitude 310 GK towing with a 2017 Ford F350 Lariat. Beautiful, right? Woo! Okay, so keep that in mind. There's rig number 1. And we have a 2021 Ram ProMaster with a Honda Element towed behind. So 3,500 extended. Okay, so there's a van. Number 3, we have this incredibly lovely rainbow, and under the rainbow, an Eclipse attitude bumper toy hauler and towing with a 2019 diesel F350 truck. Oof, all the terminology, the pressure. And lastly, we have a 2012 Winnebago Aspect 30C towing behind a 2014 Jeep Cherokee. Okay.
What about Class A?
Hey, hang on. These are our rates.
There's no way one woman does all that. No way.
We're gonna start with Rachel. Which one is she driving?
White collar.
Okay, you wanna tell them, Rachel, which one's you?
I am B with the toy.
Lana, which one's Lana? Oh, okay, we're guessing C. You wanna tell them, Lana, which one you're driving?
D.
You got 2 left. You got A and C left. Which one is Serenity? You want to tell them?
She's a C.
A or C?
Right, I'm A.
Okay. So we're partly I wanted a very diverse panel. We get folks. I mean, this is. I think when people say, "Oh, I'm a woman. I'm out there RVing," and they're thinking of nomad land, or we've all got little vans or a teardrop trailer. And it's like, you know what? We're as diverse as every other RVer out there. We drive small, we drive big. So whatever we've got, we manage, and we're damn good out there. So what I'm going to do is I want to leave us a lot of time for you guys to ask questions. So I've got some questions prepped that we can take, and I am going to be the timekeeper. So if you guys start rambling, don't be upset if I cut you off. I'm looking over there. So one of the things I asked each of us to do is pick out one picture. Pick out one image that sort of represents what you think about RV life. So this belongs to Serenity. Tell us why you picked this image. I picked this image because it's on the wall inside my van, and this is representing all the places I want to go. Cool. Okay. Now we've got Rachel. Tell us what this means to you.
I joined the Escapers for Convergence in October, and it was the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. If you haven't been, it's a lifetime experience. These guys landed in our yard. You see where these solar panels and all these chairs are? They landed there and in front of my truck and in the roadways. There was one day I tried to sleep in. Don't plan on sleeping in it at any time. Just FYI, because I was sleeping in and I woke up to a I jumping out of my bed, and they were landing in our yard. So, and I'm a writer. I've been through a lot, and I'm still not sure what the universe wants me to do with my life at this point, with my gift of a reset of a life. So I write, and I try to recognize dark situations and bring them to laughter. That's just something I've really been working on this year. I've been helping veterans, and I'm actually running for Miss Veteran America, so for a position for homeless women veterans advocate for next year. So, it's kind of what you make of it. I put myself in great places, so thank you.
Cool. Love the balloons. Lana, this is you.
Yeah. This is one of many views I've had from the inside of my rig, and it's funny because I'm very introverted and quiet. I like my solitude and solitude. And so this represents the feeling of home. Like, even though I like to travel around and change the scenery outside of my window, I also enjoy being inside and being at peace. And so I just enjoy the ever-changing scenery. It's one of the best experiences.
Cool. And this is the one I picked out. I feel like before RV life, now I started very obese, miserable, unhappy, eating too much, drinking too much, looking up at the mountain, now looking down. So I've kind of gotten hooked on hiking the 4,000 footers on the East Coast in New Hampshire, and this actually was in London, Virginia. My kid's name is London, so it's a little slip there. And so this is in Virginia, top Old Ray, and it's just I walk around now with this silly grin on my face most of the time. So very different. So that's my picture. I am going to ask you guys some questions now, and this is where we've got 3 questions. So you guys monitor your own time. What led you to the RV life? Well, Rachel talked a little bit about it, but who wants to start?
Well, it's so funny because before I started full-timing in my RV, I had a little Class C that I would go out on the weekends when I was still living in a house in Washington. And it was very curious because at the end of the weekend, I didn't want to go back home. And I loved my house. It was great. But I started examining that, and then I think I saw, I think it was an episode of House Hunters with Gone with the Winds, when instead of shopping for a house, they're shopping for an RV. Those people are crazy. You can't live in an RV. I mean, where's your space? It's like, it's too squishy. Whatever. But the idea got planted, and I was like, Lord. And so then I started researching, and went from there. I'm like, you know what? I can. There's RVs that are bigger than the little Class C. And of course, I'm like, could I do that? I could. So it's a process of, seeing the obstacle, questioning whether you can do it, and then saying, you know what? Yes, I can. Why not? And so that's how I started.
Cool. Who's next? Since she passed the light to me, I guess I'll go next. I was the child who never stayed in her yard. The RVing part didn't come till later. I was working as a nurse, and in the middle of the COVID epidemic, had to stop for health reasons. What I did after that is determine that living in a house and sticks and bricks was going to be too much for me, especially as I got older. I'm older than I look. I'll be 64 this summer. And I was completely overwhelmed with trying to manage a house, a yard, dogs, my life. So I had been looking at tiny houses for a long time, and then I discovered that what I needed for a tiny house, nobody was building, and I couldn't get a builder who wanted to work with me, and I couldn't get funding as a solo person to finance a tiny house. So I gutted my retirement fund, ordered my van, and waited 9 months for it to show up. And then with the help of some younger and more muscular assistants, you discover there's a lot of things in a van build that you can't do by yourself, because it's much better with 2 people and sometimes even 3. With the help of my friends, we started transforming the van into living space, and I finished that at the end of September. For the most part, there was still some little bits to do, but for me, van life is manageable. The space is manageable, even with the dogs, and Lord knows I have enough stuff crammed in there to outfit both my passions for fiber arts and the stuff that the dogs and I need. Cool, thanks. Rachel, you want to?
2.5 years I haven't taken a drink on the road. That's something to celebrate right there. 2.5 years. Yeah, I already kind of went, so I'll just keep it brief. But as an air traffic controller, PTSD, coming out into nature and being able to go to the national parks and live with fresh air and freedom, and it's just great therapy for me. So thank you.
Thanks. And for me, I mean, I had a great professional high stress career that ended. So I thought, what do I want to do? I want to be a financial coach. I want to help women build financial freedom so when they lose their jobs, they are not totally screwed. So I became a financial coach, and then the irony was I sat at my dining room table looking out at my suburban street for 18 months working on my stuff, and I'm like, I'm miserable. So I'm like, I'm teaching you guys how to reach financial freedom. I've had enough financial resources. I'm sitting on this big asset called a house. And it's like, if I trade in the house, but I'd never been in an RV, never drove an RV. I was going to get something small, but ended up with something a little bit bigger. But I was visiting family in Wisconsin, going to Lambeau Field with my sister, and I said, hey, can we just stop at an RV place? I walked into one, and I'm like, I could do this. I could live here. I remember going home, and I was so excited I couldn't sleep. It probably took me 3 days to sleep because I'm like, this is it. Because what I was missing were the things that I love the most, which is travel, nature, and meeting people. So that's my story. Thank you all for sharing. Let's go to the biggest adjustment you had to make. Rachel, you've got the microphone.
Dun, dun, dun. I had to change everything. Everything. I didn't even know what an LP system was. Not to say I still don't, but please don't peek. Mindset. I had to make a huge mindset adjustment. Like, this is what we do is hard. It's extremely hard. There are so many moving pieces. It took me 21 trips before I perfected my checklist, or I was able to use no checklist. New procedures had to go into place to protect myself because I was online. Not only is all this hard, but you're by yourself. So checks and balances had to be created. Checklists had to be created. I sat in an RV park for 5 months, and I moved within the park 5 times. I hitched, I unhitched, I hitched, I unhitched. There was one day that took me 3 hours just to try to figure out the hitch, and I decided I was done for the day. And slowly, and it was the 21st trip that I thought, wow, I just did that without a checklist, and I might have this. So if you're under 21 trips right now, ladies, keep perfecting that checklist.
Thanks. Lana? The biggest adjustment you had to make.
I had several answers. Yeah, the biggest adjustment was flexibility. I'm a planner. I like to get everything in place, know where I'm going. The dogs can't operate Google yet, so once I hit the road, if I decide I need to stop for fuel, I better know ahead of time because I am in a larger rig. I can't just easily just get off on this exit and see what's available. I want to make sure I fit. And so I pre-research where I'm going to stop, kind of try to really plan ahead, but also flexibility in terms of, when I had a Class C, I used to not go to a campground if I couldn't reserve a specific spot. I was like, okay, I need to be in this spot. And it was, I don't know why. I guess I was kind of intimidated about fitting in certain places. And now I've learned that, even though I'm in a large rig, it is quite agile. And now I don't even worry about it. I'll make it work. And so it's given me a lot of confidence.
Thanks, Serenity. The biggest adjustment you had to make. I'm still making adjustments. I'm too new at this. I haven't. The biggest adjustment is trying to get the right things into the van and the element, and anticipating what I'm going to need to be boondocking, which is a slightly different cooking kitchen things than what I need for when I'm connected to electric. That's been an adjustment. Let's see, I've killed my battery once at least. I've run out of power once. I now have a flat tire. So I'm still adjusting. It's a constant sort of process, The only constant in the world is change. So you just have to be adaptable. and cope with one thing at a time and try and keep a sense of humor about it, I think. Yep, because if you can't laugh, then I don't know what you do when all these things happen. My dogs have learned how to get out of their harness within 30 seconds. I never know which one I'm supposed to grab first.
Thank you. And one of my cats is nicknamed Houdini, by the way, so I can relate. For me, when I think about the biggest adjustment, it was really my identity. Because, I mean, I'm not retirement age, and I do work, I have to find internet, and I do work as a financial coach, but I had this giant, enormous career where I was a big fish in a little pond, and that was how I identified. You know, I'm Dr. Brenda, I'm da-da-da-da-da, and I get in this rig, and I've left Virginia, so I don't have a community, and it is just me. It's just me. So I know that, I remember the first week, and it's COVID, so you can't meet anybody because you're restricted to your own campsite. And I'm in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, and the coyotes are howling, and it's late at night. I'm in bed. I'm like, what have I just done? Am I crazy? So, and by the third month, I remember being in the hill country in Texas, and just like, you know what? I found myself. I am not what I do. I am not where I am from. I am me. I am me. And so that whole shift in identity and being in this community where nobody says, "Hey, what do you do?" Which is, in the real world, that's your first question. What do you do? Meaning, what's your job? We're more than our jobs. We're more than where we're from. We're more than what we do. So that was my biggest adjustment. Okay, we've got one more question, and then we've got a little fun thing, which I hope you guys will play along. How do you create a sense of community? And Lana's already passing the mic to Rachel.
Hello. I was scared when I got on the road. I know I look a little tougher. I have to stand. So what I did personally was I joined a lot of groups. I joined not only escapees, but I joined escapers. I was on the hunt for my particular scenario. I was looking for sober RVers and people of my age. So just find where your niche is and find those people. And what I do, even though I solo tow, is I tow from event to event. After the Albuquerque, I went to the Escapers New Year's and I met up with them. Just having, speaking of RV women, that was one of the first groups I joined actually, because I was so scared to unplug from my 5 months of RV park and to go out into the middle of nowhere called Quartzsite. And I was supposed to just set up in the middle of nowhere, like everything I was doing for 5 months was preparing me for that day. But what I did was I found a group of women. I found a specific GPS point. I towed straight there. I informed people I was coming in the group. I said, I'm excited to be there. I'm on my way. I'm a solo. I showed straight up there. I identified myself. I said, this is my first boondocking trip. I'm by myself. And she said, honey, we got you. And then I was surrounded by women for like the rest of the week. I met 2 women from there I still talk to today, 2.5 years later. One of them I connected with, and we traveled together, caravan. From that RV women, we traveled together for 3 months, scouting boondocking spots. Her goal was to go somewhere free with cell service so she could work as a lawyer. And my goal was to go somewhere free with cell service so I could continue my education. So we just said, all right, where can we go? Tucson, all right. Pikachu, we just picked points. We checked them out together. She called me to say my door was flying open on the interstate because I had learned to turn my bar inward. I was turning it outward, and she had to call me 3 times on one trip saying your door flew open again because I can't see that side, Work smarter. My strategy is to work smarter. I traveled with her until the next event. And sometimes between events, I take 6 days and I don't speak to anyone. That's just something I've learned about myself. So you just kind of got to know what your needs are, and you can still be solo, but not solo.
Yes. The first big social thing I did when I start full-timing was going to the Escapade bash, which I don't know how smart that was because it was big. But like Rachel said, I met a few people there that became my friends, and I see them occasionally now, even 4 years later. But yeah, it was similar after that event. I had never been to Quartzsite, and I had only been boondocking like once before, and so I followed a group of women. I think there were like 6, 7, 8 of us, solo women in their rigs. We caravaned down to Quartzsite, and I boondocked for the second time, surrounded by this new community, and it was a really special experience. And so now I boondock as much as I can. I didn't know how much fun it would be.
Thanks.
Great sea community.
I started with an online community before my rig was done. There is an organization called the Home on Wheels Alliance, and they have an online caravan. They started those during COVID because you couldn't meet up face to face. And so there's a social group that gets on and talks about how to be women, RV to issues. They all often each week has a topic, and it's a Sunday mornings at I think it's 8:30 Pacific time now. There's a half an hour general conversation, then an hour's worth of specific response to a topic, and then another half hour of sort of free conversation after that. So that's what I started. I struggle with community. It's uh, something that I've struggled with my whole life. I don't often find groups that I fit in and feel comfortable with. Um, and it's a little bit intimidating, I think. Um, and without getting into very difficult topics, like here at Escapade, I'm one of the few women of color that are here, and that sometimes is a little bit of a struggle for me. Um, but I also don't necessarily fit in with other uh, BIPOC communities either. Um, so, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but every once in a while I find a small group that I am their cup of tea, or at least one or two people out of my group, and I cherish those people. I also joined the Solos and met with them in Quartzsite and had many adventures while I was there, and met some really great people, and I have to recommend them as a group that's very warm and welcoming. Um, what else do I need to say about finding community? I mean, it's just, you have to find yourself reaching out and see who's there. I've been encouraged by the amount of diversity that I have seen and found. I do often get the question, why are you here, or how did you get here? Because we don't see a lot of women of color that are camping, or even men for that matter. And I think it came from my always having to go to summer camp, and I just enjoyed it because my mother worked, which was unusual for that generation. She worked full time. I had to go to camp because she was at work. And that's it. I think I still can keep in connection with some people that I've met on the road, and I like the see you down the road mentality because it means that eventually our paths will cross again.
Thank you. And and we're solo women RVers, so I'm going to say, in terms of independence, we are way on that spectrum anyway, and a lot of us love our alone time. For me, I started out in May 2020, put the house on the market in January. COVID, we started hearing about COVID in February. By the time I got to campgrounds, I had two RV events on my plate. And of course, everything was canceled, and I went to campgrounds, and you couldn't get outside of your campsite. So it was very, very lonely. And in fact, this now, I've been on the road it'll be 3 years in May, is my first big rally and I am exhausted. I mean, I'm going to bed at like 7 o'clock because I am not around people all the time. You know, it's just like, whoa, what a shock. But actually, I haven't had a real strong sense of community. I've met some folks on Facebook, but this week, almost everything is shifting in the way I think about RVing. I'm now considering maybe getting a home location where I can at least, you know, be for several months and take off and go back, and then I, you know, the escapees, all those folks doing the fun stuff. If I'm on the East Coast, almost everything is on the West Coast. So I'm like, well, maybe I ought to shift to the West. I can do the balloon fest. I can go to Mexico. I can do all those things. So it is all about change. Everything is, you know, I thought I had everything set up for 2024. I do for 2023 because I am a planner. But yeah, I've not had community, and now I'm at a point where I want community. So it's good to have a balance. Good to have a balance. So thank you guys for sharing all that. Are you able to do the speaker sin of asking you to pull out your phone? Are you able to get this barcode, and will it pull up a form, just a simple one, on what does the RV life mean to you? If you get that form, just put in one word. Just one word. If you are new, is anybody like hasn't even really started doing this, really new?
I just started, I'm like a month and a half.
Put in, you know, this just what you're thinking, you know, what is, it can be scary, it can be good, it can be whatever. When you're first starting, you know, I'll talk about this later, but is it working? Okay, so give you some time while we're going to discuss our one word. So let's start with educational. Who's our educational one word?
I chose educational because everything that has to do with RVing and in life is a lifelong learning process for me. I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things. And certainly choosing to be on the road full time is full of learning experiences.
Okay, change.
That's me. Of course, every day is change, and along with change comes the ability to grow as a person and become more flexible and to become better at dealing with change, which was hard for me when I first started, because I'm kind of like, I'm a planner. Things need to go this way, and things never go the way you plan. And so, just getting used to that and having a flexibility of spirit and adaptable and not letting bad things get you down, and just keep pushing through.
Magical.
Hello. I believe in magic. Don't judge. I see magic everywhere. I was dancing last night. No, this lifestyle can be harsh, but if your perspective can change every morning when you wake up and open your front door to remember even where I am sometimes, and walk outside and just see God's country and the beauty that sits right outside your porch, and know that you paid nothing to stay there that night because you're boondocking and there's millionaires down the street in Idaho. And I mean, it's just, we don't have enough time for all the magical experiences I've seen in 2 years. So hang in there, and if you're not seeing magic, come see me and I will direct you to magical things. Like, put yourself there, find it, it's there, and it's not all rough. It's not all rough out there.
Thank you. And I have Christmas because I feel like I'm losing wrinkles out here. I feel like, you know, when I started, it was like 85% terror and 15% excitement. Now it's 85% excitement and 15% terror. So it's shifted around, but I said, you know, the night before I'm going to a new place, it's like Santa Claus is coming. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm 5 years old. I'm racing down the steps, and I hope that there's a gift down there. But it as an adult, I mean, with your career, raising your kids, you know, you think about those times when you're really excited. I don't know how many years back I'd have to go to think like that. Now it's like every 2 weeks, it's Christmas. So let's see if I can pull up the words that you gave us. Okay, well, not exactly the way I was thinking it would go that way, but I wonder if I can enlarge this somehow. I can't. So we've got 5 people telling us adventure. Freedom, that's a big one. Overwhelming, transformative, struggle, peaceful, new friends, joy, independence, exciting, courage, change. Okay, anybody who like went on the overwhelming piece wanna tell us what you're thinking? Yeah.
I was thinking, so we've been doing this a month and a half. I've just gone out. I've never had an RV. I've never even thought about an RV. So this is all new. I took the boot camp, which was amazing because now I know how electric works. I had no idea. I had a switch in my RV. I had no idea what it was even for. I was like, what in the God's name? When you were saying what's the biggest adjustment, there's not a big. There's 1,000 little ones.
Okay.
And each one is like a huge challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. So 1,000 little challenges and everything. You know, there's so much to learn. My first time out. I think we all have these stories. So I'm parked and my power goes out. Now I had a really lousy run through of the rig, so I didn't even know where the circuit breaker was. So I'm like, what's going on? So I went to the host because he's got a Winnebago. I got a Winnebago. He must know. No, it doesn't work that way. And then 30 amps. Oh, I can use my air conditioner or I can cook in the oven. I can't do both. So all of those things, I know that and I had tire issues the first year out. It was a nightmare. But it's sort of that experience. You guys have any tips when you're feeling, especially starting out when you feel overwhelmed and you know it's not going to go perfect. I think that's partly we have to live with that.
Well, in my toilet, my brother-in-law said, "Welcome to RV."
Broken toilet. Welcome to RV.
I like to do my research, and so when there's something that I don't know or I'm having a problem with something, what I found was join the owners group for your rig type on Facebook, or if there's a company sponsored one. There's so many people who can answer your questions, and then you can look through the history and find answers, get really good tips. I mean, I spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I do that. I've got a Winnebago Aspect group, and they've helped me answer all kinds of questions. One more thing I was going to say. Do you have any tips?
I was driving the Alpine from Florida to Alaska, and I woke up in Lier Hot Springs with a flat tire. And Lier Hot Springs is in the middle of nowhere. So even though it was 10 o'clock in the morning, I looked at it and I pulled out my camp chair and I opened a beer and I sat down to think about it. And what I came up with changed my life. I learned how to ask for help.
Okay, learning how to ask for help. Yeah, and that's when I started too. I knew somebody who had an RV. Like I was like, I don't know how to tank. How do I dump this? You know, so somebody to help you know where it is and how to hook it up and how not to make a mess. That was helpful.
I don't do the beer. I have games on my computer. Sit down, take a couple of minutes, and start getting out of the fear of what you have.
Okay, get out of the fear. Take a few minutes. Create a little Zen space.
Education. When you buy that rig, I would recommend that you know what every switch in there does. And that's something I did before I didn't move, is I knew exactly how it happened. I have redundancies. If you have a pin anywhere on your rig, go to Home Depot and have a replacement pin for everything. I have backups. Just know a lot of times my anxiety has been saved because I had one plan, but I also had a plan B. And so when I arrive, that plan takes a crap. B, you know, like it's a lot of extra legwork for me. Whenever I plan a trip, I probably spend about 6 hours even experience because I want to research it. I want to have a plan. I want to know where I'm going. I want a backup for it. I want a replacement to every piece on my rig because when you get out there, it will break. And I want I have downloaded videos on how to change my tire. Preparation. Preparation builds confidence.
YouTube is a very good friend.
Oh, I live on YouTube.
You got one.
You'd be surprised what you can do yourself. If you sit down and take a minute, like everybody says, and then figure out what needs to be done and see if you can do it yourself.
Okay, see
Before
if
you
right.
automatically call somebody and pay them to do it.
Right, see if you can do it yourself.
My step motor went out, and I crawled underneath there. They wanted $400 to replace my step motor. It cost me $65 for the new motor, and I put it in. But I had to take a breath and make sure, and YouTube, and do it myself.
Right.
Be surprised what you can do.
Yep. I have a YouTube channel, and my most popular YouTube video is how to fix a clam shelter. So people are online all the time looking at how to fix something.
I have 2 ideas for tips, and they're both mental attitude.
Okay, 2 tips. One is
there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And you're only lonely when you hold to yourself. If you want a friend, you have to be a friend. You have to remember that we're all in this together, and it's not just you. Reach out to other people.
right. So alone versus lonely, and reaching out to other folks.
And the other thing is, I used to be very shy, and so I had hard trouble reaching out. I wear this hat with these dolls on. I get so many compliments. I can't be by myself. I have to reach out. And another thing is the positive attitude. So these are technically called Guatemala worry dolls. But I don't like to worry, so I call them challenge dolls. Accentuate the positive.
Right. Be positive and wear dolls on your head. Yeah.
I think the first thing that you always have to do when something becomes challenging is take some deep breaths, and then whatever happens that you have to work on, break it into smaller pieces that are manageable. You know, and sometimes it takes me 24 hours to figure out that, oh, I could have done it this way. So I give myself time and space because I don't really have to be anywhere. So I can take the time to process a little more slowly, and eventually my brain will come around to, oh, this is what you can do about this situation. Because oftentimes when it first happens, you're in a panic over, oh my God, this thing is not working. Or, oh my God, I can't even tell what it is that's beeping at me every once in a while, because it only beeps once and then it doesn't beep again for 5 minutes. Where the hell is the beep?
Yeah, you're cracking me up because I'm thinking about, you cannot predict the situations you get in. So I towed the Jeep Cherokee behind me, and I got into a campground in Mississippi, and I'm on a cul-de-sac, and I've had problems with the Jeep going dead, and when the Jeep goes dead, the parking brake doesn't go in. So I'm unhitching and knowing the Jeep battery is dead, and I have to race as fast as I can to get into the Jeep so it doesn't go downhill. Okay, that's that. I got that figured out, and I walked back to the rig. Did I say I travel with 3 cats? It's my new cat's second trip. She locked the door. And I'm like, no problem. I've got a key and I can get into my coach door. Well, when she hits that lock, everything locks. So I've got a dead Jeep. I'm locked up. The RV is running. And I had somebody who drove me down to the ranger station, like, please come help me. I've locked myself out of the rig. And the ranger, she comes up and she's like, yeah, your cat did this? I'm like, honestly, it's Isabella. She's just her second time out. She locked me out. And the ranger looks at me, well, if she locked you out, she could let you back in. So I took my Jeep keys and I dangled them in front of the window. And Isabella stepped on the button, rolled the window down, and I got back in. So you can't, I mean, I have lots and lots of extra keys now, keys to everything everywhere, but you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
So I've been RVing solo for 10 years, and my perception is everything is an adventure. Absolutely everything, whether it's good, bad, perceived, however you want to perceive it, it's an adventure. And to become fearful, to become intimidated, to become all those things, those are adventures, and just dig into them and enjoy the process.
Right. Everything is an adventure. I would like to add, it's okay to feel every emotion.
Exactly.
Just feel it. If you're really pissed off, you had a really bad day, feel it. You're not you don't have to hide it and pretend you're Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's one of the things that as independent women, we tend to think we can do it all by ourselves, and we probably can, but it might save us a lot of time just to ask. Right. Yeah, I see that on Facebook posts too. Somebody says, my husband's in the hospital. Can somebody move my rig? You got to drive it. I don't care if you're your partner or somebody else says, hollers at you for driving. You got to learn how to drive it and park it. Yep. So I've got the notice of time, and I want to leave this open for questions. On the app, there is actually, we tried this year, a place for questions, and I have one question, so I'm going to ask that and then open it up for you guys to ask questions. You are legally parked overnight in an urban parking lot. You are the only vehicle in the lot. There's a knock on the door at 2 a.m. It's not the police, and streets are deserted. What do you do? Rachel's all ready for this.
You picked the wrong house. Okay, listen. Excuse my language, but fuck these dudes that think they can just creep on us out there and we're an opportunity as solo women, because that is not true, right, ladies? That is not true, but some people out there may think or you might be. It's a matter of timing. I've been in the nicest places and had the worst drugged out dude doing circles of my encampment or whatever. That was actually my worst story on the road, but you never know. So again, be prepared. I have redundancies. My number one is a bright flashlight. I will open that door with my bright flashlight in their face because I don't have a van. I park smart places. So like I said, if I show up and I get a vibe, I'm out. It doesn't matter the inconvenience, ladies. It doesn't matter what your plans were, how much work it's gonna be. You'll be driving till 4 in the morning. Get out. Keep driving. Stay up straight. Be proud of yourself for taking care of you to get out of there, and then regroup. I always add extra days to my trip because if something does come up, I write it down. When I get to where I'm going, I research it. I fix it. I get back on the road, the next problem, I write it down. I get where I'm going. And so I started adding days just to research because whatever it is going to go wrong. So I have redundancies. I have a flashlight in the back. That's my number one. I don't want to shoot anybody, but I will. I carry guns. I don't like to use them, and quite frankly, I hope to never use them. But they've also come out with some technology that can help you. I have a Ring alarm system that's wire free. Right next to my door, it's a keypad that looks like a house alarm system. And if someone, I also can push a button by my door that'll make it sound like a house alarm. It'll go woo, 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 woo. And I like to think that's my number one defense is the best offense. I will hit the button. I will blind them. I will say, can I help you? I have recordings. I have a Ring doorbell at my front door. They will be on video. I make sure to set that. I basically come in and just prepare for idiots. And then if no idiots happen, we have a great trip. If idiots happen, they're going to get hit from me in 5 different directions and they better run when that alarm starts going off because they don't know what's happening. They don't know me. Element of surprise, confidence. They assume that I'm this small female that can't take care of themselves. They're wrong. And you need to have that attitude. Or if you have a van, go. I can't speak for van lifers, but if I was in a situation like that, I would probably just keep it high and tight. We used to call it the military. Just when you get in, know that you have to leave and just leave it the minimum. Whatever minimum you need, and just overnight or whatever you are, go. Forget them. You first.
Thanks. Before I forget, there are 2 seats here that have a little red jewel on them. On the bottom, on the seat by the right. If you're on one or you see one, you get to win something. What is it? Lift it up. You got one? Okay. I have these RV Super Women journals that I made. One's got a motorhome, one has a trailer. Which one you want? There you go. And the other one is on this side. Who's got it? RV Superwoman Journal. You can get these on Amazon. Congratulations. You're welcome. Okay, we're all awake. Questions. Okay, so don't give out too much information, and you've had experience of a guy who kind of stalked you. Yeah, I would also add some of the, I've been at state park campgrounds, and this is in Texas in particular, and they put down the number of occupants. You got this on your window, and I'm like, so I always say 2 or 3, 5, whatever, but I don't put 1 down, and then I got 4 right, and then, but then they also oh, here's the campground, here's your site, you leave that sitting up there, and I parked into a little grocery store, and I looked next to me, and there's a guy sitting in the car, and I'm like, he's a serial killer. I know. I got so freaked out, so I, hid that. So, that's the other thing, is that you don't necessarily want to be driving around with your site information on it. be aware of decals, or like you don't want to advertise that you're a solo. That's unfortunately true. And t-shirts. Rethinking my t-shirts. What does Escapade say? Yeah.
I had a knock on the door. I looked outside. I locked the windows. And a calf. The cow was over there was hitting the chair. I guess
So her person in the night was actually a cat. Well, that's a good thing to see, right? When you look out your window and you say, "How cool to go!" I parked where there were bison that came up to me. You had Serenity wants to say something.
Since I have a van, I can talk to what you do with the van. I do not have a lot of windows, and that was deliberate by design. I also have a lot of sound deadening. I'm not sure I hear the knock. But if I did hear the knock, I have a remote start through my van, so I can just hit a button in the van and start. I have outside motion sensor lights that will come on and stay on as long as somebody's out there. And my strategy is to drive away. And I would even drive away. I would leave my tow car hooked, but I would not leave the electrical part on because that's how you kill the bag. Ask me how I know that. I also there is you cannot carry necessarily pepper spray in all places, but you are allowed to carry bear spray.
And wasp spray.
Yeah, wasp spray I think is a matter of debate. I'm not sure it always works, but bear spray will.
The other piece is even if somebody claims to have got the white pickup and they look like they're official, they may not be official. If they say they're from the police, call the police department, see if they've sent an officer out there. So you can't necessarily, count on that either. Back here.
I was at a Harvest Post location once. Only once was a bad experience, but late at night, I'm coming in, it's dark, knock on the door. And so, luckily for me, I had a Belgian alcohol who went straight to the passenger seat, banging her nose up against the window, barking like crazy. I didn't call her off. There was no reason for me to talk to her. So I went to the door, and I said, he just ran more sorry. And I said, we know. And I'm solo, it's me and, 2 dogs. But I don't ever say I. Or I try.
Okay, so use we. Can we help you?
And I
Some
waited
people.
a few minutes, and they might have said something. And as I was on my way to go get my gun, I heard the car door slam and the wheels peel off. And I watched until they drove off the only road that went into that location. And I waited 15 minutes because I flattened. So I've got to get out of my RV and go back and put my car in neutral and so forth and get ready to go. In the end, would I be willing to sacrifice the transmission? Absolutely. Because I can start it and go and just, run hard the transmission, I guess. But
I hope you commented on that Harvest Host site because people need to know that.
I did.
Okay.
And I won't go back. So, by the way, it's Buzzard's Belly General Store.
Buzzard's Belly General
Cisco, Colorado.
Colorado.
Cisco, Colorado is an almost ghost town. Population of 5.
Okay. Questions? Danny. I've got a YouTube. I have everything on a link tree, linktr.ee / Dr. Brenda U. My YouTube, I think I go by Dr. Brenda Money Coach. What about you guys?
I have Instagram. It's Serenity SERENITY.van.ventures. And I also have a Facebook page.
You connect with us on Facebook. I mean, look in the attendee list. I think you can find us there.
Yeah, I kind of fly under the radar on social media because I did have a kind of a stafferish guy, and so my Facebook is locked down from friends and family. I do have an Instagram account under Lana Car, LANACAR, but I don't post there very much. And if I do, it's after I've been somewhere.
I'm new to social media, but I do have a site called Misfit Comic because I identify as a misfit. As a 42-year-old with no kids and an RV lifestyle, I don't seem to fit in anywhere, but I fit in everywhere. So it's Misfit Comic for me. Or look for me, Rachel King. I think I just started one Rachel King bonus PA I could use help with, just likes. So that would be nice. I'm supposed to be selling myself on social media as an into the practice, but I do, and I'd be happy to share with anybody if you ladies want to connect. It's not necessarily RV related because I like to mix RV and laughter. So
Well, thank you all. We are out of time. We'll stick around if you've got questions you can ask us, but thank you guys for being with us and keep on rolling.